Greetings to all the lovely participants, wonderful participants, and to our distinguished speaker for today, Jeffery Sorensen, live from Canada. So Summer Audit Systems and Software Private Limited is really pleased to have this 50th webinar in a series of webinars which are titled Analytics Wednesday. So, it's a dream run for even Summer Audit, because when we started it off, we said, let's hold a weekly Analytics Wednesday session webinar where we invite speakers from India and from around the world. And it has really been going well. And we did not feel that we would touch 50 or, maybe 100, but we have reached the 50th landmark. Today is a 50th session. So again, we have Jeff from Canada live, and thanks a lot to him because he's got up early in the morning to do this session with us. Thanks a lot to a lot of our participants who have been with us continuously. And also we put this on the YouTube, Sama YouTube channel. So we find that, 100, 150, 200 people come there and look at it. They even browse through, relevant videos where they pick knowledge from there. So it's really helping the internal audit community, analytics community to go through the distinguished speakers, what they have spoken, their experiences. So today, again, we have the topic today is automation of external audit, service and analytics. So we find that today I'm not going to speak about some audit. I'll speak about the topic first and then leave it to Jeff. When we talk about automation of external audit service, we find there are a lot of regulatory drivers in the country, in India and around the world, which are making the CA firms adopt working papers and make their entire practice automated. And we also have analytics, which has been there for the last 10 years, 15 years, which has really picked up in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of pace in the country in terms of blockchain, artificial intelligence, analytics, you name it. And both these things have been married together to make one automated platform for auditors, which has become very relevant in today's world. So not only for the statutory auditors, but for the internal auditors also to understand how this technology is going to work and how the auditors will, behave, because internal auditors and statutory auditors work together in organizations. So it makes sense for the statutory auditors to look at this primarily, and also for the internal auditors to appreciate what's happening and how statutory auditors will face up, will use technology in coming months and years, so that what they're going to adopt from across the world and how they'll work in an automated space for their practice management, for their working papers, and for analytics. So I will formally introduce Jeff to all of you. Jeff joined Caseware in 2016 and as a product manager for the flagship product IDEA. He is now an industry lead Caseware IDEA Canada. He's a certified instructor with 10 years of international consulting experience in Caseware IDEA for a variety of industries, including insurance, banking, utilities, government and online services. He has over 20 years experience in information technology. He has held various positions in IT systems development, IT security, IT auditing, project management, and as an IT consultant. He has implemented continuous auditing, monitoring and governance, risk and control solutions for clients in the public and the private space. A short, sweet biodata, but I know a lot of technical skills Jeff possesses, and he's going to demystify that and make it very simple for our audience today. So over to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much for the glowing intro. Okay, perfect. So let's get started. I have a presentation. There's going to be a short video and there's going to be a demo, of course. That'll be great. So let's just look this thing up. Okay, perfect. Yes, you know who that is. Caseware has been around a long time. And again, you can always work with Sama in how to with your various solutions. Users across the world, millions and millions of engagements use Caseware every day. So I just want to put that out there. All right. So let's talk about first, before we get into looking at demos and solutions, let's talk about the challenges that everyone's facing today. We all know time is money and margins are tight and process inefficiencies cost lots of money because in the external audit world, you can't just charge whatever fees you want, right? You have competition. There's lots of competition out there who can undercut you by a little bit. So basically, if something takes you too long, that means you make less money. And so bad or inefficient processes will cost the company money and will affect your ability to actually charge more and be more profitable. So time is money, definitely. Practice management is currently highly manual. There are a few companies out there who really, within India, from what I understand, that are using a working paper solution right now. That's what I'm hearing from Sama Audit. That the whole practice management. So that's everything from initiating with the customer, all the actual audit work or compilations, review work. That is all the administration, getting people to agree to sign agreements. It is getting the data, importing. It is producing the financial statements. It's recording the time of the people have spent. It's the billing, chasing down the billing. I mean, it's the whole cycle. Is very manual, and that's typically is all done by different people. They don't have one solution to really do this. Audits do require real data analytics, right? An audit, we can't really perform an audit legally unless you are actually looking at data. And Excel is just no longer enough now. The companies are producing more and more data, and as soon as you go over 1 million records, Excel stops. So you don't really have a solution for it if Excel is all you have. So you're not really producing your audits correctly and properly unless you have the tools to deal with it. Regulations coming to drive firms to use working papers analytics. You heard that from Deepji. Regulations coming, and people are demanding there is a certain amount of automation in the production of external auditing. So you need to be on board. Hiring is also going to be a challenge. If you think about the new hires, they're going to reject a lot of the old ways. If it's all paper or all manual based, they're going to rather, if you have two jobs, one that has a slick system that they can work with, it's more automated, or they can work for someone who has a stack of papers, where do you think they're going to go? They're not going to choose the papers, right? So long-term hiring is really going to impact your industry. And consistency or growth are a real challenge without automation. If you're not really automating, to get a consistent quality and to really grow your business is tough. And of course, competition's fierce. We talked a bit about this. Is that the most efficient, the most client-centric firms are ultimately going to win this battle. So how do auditors really adapt to the situation? Well, I think auditors are increasingly across the world. We're seeing this everywhere because we operate in over 160 countries. Auditors everywhere are really looking for integrated solutions. They're looking for someone who can take the pain points away to say, look, I have to do all these different things. Can I just get one flow, one workflow that kind of covers all of it? Because you save time and money in each of those small steps, and it all adds up. And it either makes you really productive or just hanging on, right? And that's the difference. You get to cut back on your duplication, get to streamline the entire external audit process. And what a lot of people are going for is a hybrid platform. In other words, it's the best of desktop because we know it, we've invested in it, we love it, but it also wants to get the cloud into the picture. So in other words, just because I'm desktop doesn't mean I don't want to collaborate. I want my files to be accessible and open and free for others to work on the same file at the same time. I want to collaborate in real time, but I still like the desktop. I'm going to show you how that's actually possible, and really it's taken off across the world, this hybrid platform. Embrace the future while still being able to leverage your investments. There are companies who have a lot of money and a lot of investment in, say, they have some Excel worksheets they use to produce financial statements. It's okay to be able to leverage that, right? To say, you know what, we want to keep using this, but we want to tap into this hybrid technology. We want to make it cloud smart, but still leverage all this investment we spent over all the years. You can do that. And again, an integrated, powerful analytics platform, something that's not just Excel, but something where if a client gives you 2 million records, you're not going to run away screaming. You're going to be able to take that, automate it, run the normal tests, do everything business as usual, regardless of what the company gives you. So that's kind of how auditors are adapting to this, the situation we're facing. So what I'm going to show you now, and again, it's a short 5-minute video because it's a very quick whiz-bang video showing you the entire audit cycle. So you see the cycle over here on the right. So it's basically taking all these aspects of running external audit, and it's going to show you how a hybrid platform can take these, they can automate these steps and make it easy to manage in an integrated fashion. So, and to show you the 5-minute video, it's a good way to start it because it can pull a lot of information together very quickly. And then, of course, I'm going to show you live. We're going to go in and I can show you in a little more depth, show you more of these details. So yes, it's going to illustrate an integrated audit workflow, a process overview. In North America, they sell this as Caseware Essentials. Basically, it's a bundle of a number of software that all works together. All right. And there's little bits of the integrated powerful analytics platform called IDEA, which some of you are definitely familiar with, I'm sure. And that's a part of this video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to show you that video. Just give me 1 second. It should be coming on shortly.
Caseware Essentials is one solution with one integrated workflow, all accessible via one interface, which is called Caseware Working Papers. This is how it works. First, launch Caseware Working Papers on your desktop. You create a new engagement with the financial template you need, based on US GAAP for the United States, ASPE in Canada, or IFRS internationally. And this engagement is linked to the client record stored in the Caseware cloud, keeping the two in sync at all times. There are many advantages to storing client information in the cloud, as it centralizes all the client communication and lets client approve agreements online via e-signature, thereby saving significant time in administration. It also makes reporting and billing easier and eliminates duplicate data entry in multiple different systems. Now, let's talk about the audit workflow. Starting with the collaborate and manage stage, the nature of the engagement is defined, the nature of the client is defined, and based on your answers, Essentials automatically generates the exact prepared by client PPC client requests and communication you need. The communication can be personalized, set a due date, and hit send, which automatically sends an email notification to the client. All future communications are now centrally stored in the cloud and linked to the engagement, so the entire team can now collaborate in real time on that same engagement, and you can avoid losing critical email history, which is stuck in someone's email, thereby boosting productivity for the entire team. Audit management can track detailed progress and balance workloads across all engagements via a simple interface in the cloud called Caseware Accomplished. Time reporting is tracked on a per user, per engagement basis and happens automatically, so you know who is working on each engagement and for how long, to help assist with billing. Moving on to the data acquisition stage, Caseware Essentials can import trial balance and transaction info from over 50 accounting packages and from Excel. Do this with engagement import and map any unmapped accounts via drag and drop. All account mapping will be saved and rolled forward into future financial years, saving auditors work in the future. Once data is imported, all the data flows into correct accounts and lead sheets. Schedules and reports and financial statements can be generated by the click of a button. Adjusting entries can also be made, which flow into those same reports. All reports can be customized, and if you use Excel or Word template today and wish to keep using them, Essentials comes with Caseware Connector technology, which allows Word and Excel to interact with the financial statement database of Caseware Essentials, so you can continue to leverage the financial templates you have invested in. Financials are mapped to tax codes, and data can be exported to all leading tax packages when the file is ready. Compliance to regulations and methodology is achieved by the use of industry standard templates for engagements and working with third-party audit content for specific industry knowledge in line with your country's requirements. Moving on to insights and output, automatic financial reporting and powerful ratio analysis with visualization is available out of the box for your consolidations and reviews. For audits which require more detailed transaction analysis, Caseware IDEA is an optional add-on which provides a robust data analytics platform which can handle data of virtually any size or format. If your firm regularly receives financial reports and bank statements in PDF format, and you are currently manually entering them into Excel, Caseware IDEA has a special feature called Report Reader, which is able to import PDF documents like bank statements and turn them into clean data, which can be analyzed at high speed and accuracy, and more importantly, avoid all that manual data entry. Perform detailed data analytics on client trial balance and transactions simply via drag and drop from working papers into Caseware IDEA and that starts the import process. More advanced import options are also available. Caseware IDEA supports Smart Analyzer audit apps, which are complete business audits in a box with a visual workflow, complete with data transformation, investigation, and a database of standardized tests designed specifically for a business function. Transactions can be risk ranked into high, medium, low risk to make sampling and fraud testing more focused and improve audit quality and consistency. Outputs from the data analytics in Caseware IDEA can be easily shared and published back to the audit file in just a couple of clicks. This entire workflow uses the power of desktop and the power of cloud to create a robust solution where auditors can be productive 100% of the time. Regardless of the quality of your internet connection or where they're located, auditors can collaborate in teams and with clients in real time in a seamless manner to make engagement streamlined and have a higher quality than ever before. This is the future of auditing.
All right. You can hear my sound okay? All right, good.
Yes, Chef.
Yes,
Good,
please.
good. Excellent. So, okay, so you could see why I want to really put that in a 5-minute video, but you could see the entire audit process is really included as far as, even though some of it's desktop and some of it's cloud, it all integrates very nicely. So the integration can really accelerate and streamline the entire process of creating your compilations, reviews, and audits. You can import your trial balance and transactions from virtually any source. You saw Excel, but we also do QuickBooks. We also do various financial packages, over 50 of them. But Excel is probably the most common one you'll use. Apply adjusting entries, so you can do the adjusting entries right in the tool. You can post the adjusting entries back into the source system if you want. You can export the adjusting entries you made and reapply them in the books. You can create financial statements based on your financial framework. So IFRS, we have templates for that, which all the correct accounts end up in the correct categories. So there's a templates that do this for you. And according, you can manage the status, balance the workload of all your engagements, and you saw the dragging and dropping the little cards to say how many engagements does every person have. You could say, okay, I'm taking this, giving this to you because you're not busy, and you can check on the status of each one. You can standardize your audit work and collaborate in real time for, again, higher quality and savings. I mean, if you're collaborating on the same file, in the same file at the same time, you can get work done faster. It's just obvious. And I'm going to show you kind of how that works in a demo. You can give your clients a rich portal. So in other words, instead of emailing and calling them all the time for information, you give them an account in the portal, and then you send them smart surveys, smart questionnaires to say, hey, I need the following information first. Please, I have an agreement you need to sign. There's e-signatures as well in that platform, but you can answer questions right in the portal, and that data can populate right into your working papers. So it's a very multi-use portal and saves you a lot of time in answering questions. Because in that portal, if a client answers 2 out of 3 questions, you see the answers immediately. So you can already start work before they've finished completing the whole answer. So everything accelerates the time. You get automatic time reporting, integrated billing, and cloud storage are all included in the package. Caseware IDEA can be used to eliminate manual data entry PDFs. We saw that. We get a bank statement PDF. You can use Caseware IDEA to analyze that PDF, create the recipe once. Then every time you receive that statement, you can use the template from the past and bring in the data immediately. And you can turbocharge your audit engagements via deep audit analytics. Again, you can really do your audits properly when you have an actual analytical tool to do it. So you can really automate your external audit service with integration analytics today. Those options are available. Okay, so let's do a demonstration. Flip over to, here we go. All right. So I'm going to share, there's a few things here. I got a few windows open. So I'm going to show you working papers first. All right. So this is working papers. Just ignore what you see on the right now. I just want to focus you on the left side here. So you can see this template for a particular project. We can see we have financial reports, completion work, general work, financial statement areas. These are things you would need broken down by assets, liabilities. So for instance, when you want this template, you can get an IFRS template, or you'll have a template that Sama Audit have created that is specific to the Indian market. So everything will be according to local regulations. But basically the concept is you import a file with all your data. So for instance, you go in, import, say Excel, you have an Excel file you're going to import, you hit next, you go through a little wizard. When you're done and the trial balance is imported, you're going to see that here's your trial balance. All your data is in place. It has all the various tax codes mapped. You have your current year, you have prior year and multiple prior years. And from that, now that you've imported the data, you can then generate all your lead sheets. So when you double click, here's your cash lead sheet. You can also add comments. So you can see we put in a note here. This says amount is not material. We also have an annotation saying that it was not material. And we have a link to another PDF document. So this is not the PDF document I really want. But yes, you can see, you can complete documents. So when some work is done, you can right click and say, I have now completed this document right now. And you put your initial, so I'm going to do it because I already had it. So if you've completed this particular work, you could say, I'm now done. And my initials will appear and the date and time will appear here, or the date will appear. So then when your manager comes in, opens the same database, they're going to look inside, they're going to, oh, this work is done. When they review it and they like it, they could say reviewed by. And then it says, okay, this work is now completed, move on. So he gets a green check mark. Now this item is done. And it's just a way to help manage the flow. And you notice, by the way, you can see there's a little the stamp on who completed the work and who reviewed the work already in place. You can also raise issues. I had an issue here. We can say we found there was an issue raised regarding this particular review. And we could say in this example, this was the reference. Who is it assigned to? What's the priority? Do we want to retain this on cleanup, or do we want to roll forward into the next year's file? Have we cleared the item? Is it 20% done? Again, you can track all these issues in a particular file and clear them when you're done. So it's a really good way to manage all your data. So basically, when you want to, let me show you the cloud. I'm just going to close this and close this and close this. Right. So now let me show you the PBC component, the portal, right? So when you're in the portal, you get a split screen. So you could say this is your desktop, basically, and this is the cloud right here. So you have an engagement and the client itself is all backed up into the cloud automatically. So what you can do is that these are all queries. So those are all these like smart surveys that you send to clients asking for information. So I created a special one here just for today called e-signature required. And I just want to demonstrate how e-signatures work. So you create basically a questionnaire. Now in the template, we give you questionnaires that automatically should complete the job, but you can build your own. So I just wanted to show you that I created a brand new one this morning, and I just made some notes here on what it is, but they could be anything you wanted to. So let's say as you practice, you want your client to e-sign a particular agreement. So you attach the agreement, right? It's just a PDF. They click on it. It's probably not a PDF I particularly want to show. Yeah, who knows? It's just, who knows what this is. But basically, they click on that agreement, they read it, and they go, okay, I want to sign it. So what you do is you send this, there's a send button up here to send it to the client. Now I've already done that, so I'm actually going to show you what it looks like on my end here. So I'm going to show you this document right here. So this is what it looks like for the client. This is a fake person, IDA Informatica. This is what they get. An activity has been emailed to you. This is you could set this text to wherever you want. She clicks view details and she gets into the page, which is right here. So this is what IDA will see. Please review and sign her e-agreement. And she can, I'll click on, I'm going to watch it. And I've seen the thing. She can put in a comment to say, for instance, like, I have a question regarding blah, blah, blah. If she's not sure she wants to sign in yet, she can send, I have a question. And then when I look over here, she's going to see here. Oh, let me get back into here. There, see, it immediately popped up. right? I'm the auditor here. Audit Informatica just said, I have a question regarding whatever. So what's your question? If I click, and it's going to immediately show up over here. So what's your question? Right? So this saves the emails. You're going back and forth in email or phone calls. You can keep it in the file. Every auditor working on the file can see the whole flow, and you can be really much more productive rather than chasing emails around. So what she will do when she's ready, she clicks action required. It says, yeah, I can accept it electronically, or I can print it off, sign it physically myself, and upload the signed document. Or if I already have it in the cloud, I can copy it over there. So you can click accept electronically, and it's going to e-sign it. It uses the credentials. She logs in, has a digital signature, and it says here, this has been digitally signed. And basically, that automatically updates the document in here. And it's going to say this has been signed. I'm going to leave it open because I like to use this for other demos. But yes, this is how you could streamline that workflow. So I wanted to show you this, and these are all different queries, and you can see how far these are complete. This one's 100% complete, 3 out of 3. This one is a 5 out of 5. This one is, are any of these completed? I don't think any of these are done yet, but you can see these are all in different stages, so you could track what's going on for each of these. So I want to show you that. Now, another thing I want to show you is how we do the data analytics integration idea. So again, it's pretty straightforward. When you receive a file, perhaps it's someone who submitted a document in here. Someone might have submitted, it says, okay, we are requesting the following specific information. We need your trial balance data. We need your transaction history. We need your shareholder meeting minutes. We need third-party transactions. You can see, and people have uploaded files, right? So what could probably happen is you would take this file, right? Drag it into your file, wherever you want it. Now I've already got a file in there. And you can see multiple different documents in here. See, these are all the board minutes they uploaded. So from here, you drag them into your files. So you now have them. When you're ready to perform your analytics, I'm just going to put them on the split screen just so you can see how it works. You're basically going to just drag it from right from where you are here into IDEA, and then it starts the import. So for instance, let's say these are your transactions you want to perform detailed analytics on. Just drag the file into IDEA, and it automatically starts an import. It says, okay, I know what this is. This is Excel, and I think I know what you want. Okay, great. So we're going to call this whatever, 2022. You click OK, and it's going to do the import automatically. It's just going to move this up a bit. There we go. The file's imported. Okay, so it's a very smooth process to move from one to the other. Now I'm going to show you in IDEA, we do have these apps. We have a particular, it's an audit in a box designed specifically for external audit. So I'm just going to, they call them Smart Analyzer apps. And this basically like a point and click step-by-step wizard that takes you through an entire audit. So for instance, general ledger, we're going to run the one for general ledger, and you get this little workflow. So the way it works is you simply start from the top one, and then you click this, all the way down until you're finished. And that takes you through the set tests in this particular audit. So just to show you very quickly how it works, the first step is you get to tag the fields, because these apps are very smart. Doesn't matter what your client is using as an application, if they're using NetSuite, if they're using SAP, if they're using some sort of Oracle, JD Edwards, or some other financial accounting package, it actually doesn't matter, because you've imported the data into IDEA. The first time you run the apps, you just have to tag the fields. So you basically have to say, okay, we need the following fields defined. So you need to point to which of these fields in the database is a journal entry number. Well, journal entry number is journal entry number. That's fairly straightforward. What's the account number? What's the account name? What's the amount field? Pretty easy stuff to map. And remembers this. If you've done it before, you don't have to redefine this. I've already run it, so that's why I'm not going to go through this process. But you would click OK, go to the next step, and very straightforward. You just define. So this is where you get a chance to visualize what this file is all about. Let's say it's the first time you've ever seen this data. You have no expectations. You don't know what you're going to find. So by these detail buttons, when you click on them, they will visualize what's going on. So for instance, if you want to see a breakdown by day of the week, because you're curious to see when business is happening, to see if there's any peaks here. So for Tuesday is really huge here for some reason. But you can see that they do business on Sundays and Saturdays. Are they supposed to? Well, hopefully, because they're doing stuff. You can go through, you can learn a bit about how many users are in this accounting system. Well, there's 3 people in the accounting department who are doing work, okay? Are they doing any backdated entries? Yeah, it turns out this one's backdated 7 days. This one's backdated 153 days. That's interesting. I think I'm going to look at that later. Then you could say things like rounded amounts, or do you have a lot of totally rounded amounts? Again, the natural likelihood of a rounded amount is not that high. So to have an amount that's exactly 10,000, you probably want to look at those transactions and see why are they so even, because it's often a sign of fraud when people have very even amounts. Again, by time, if you have a time field, you could say somewhere done at 3 a.m. Okay, that seems a little suspect to me. And then, of course, you have descriptions. So it looks through the description field on the journal entries and looks for keywords, breaks them down. So in other words, we do have one transaction has the word birthday in it. Another one has the word gift. We have 2 transactions have the word missing in them. So you can add them to a list. So you can say, I'm curious about these. What are these? Sky high. Okay, what's that? You know, you can add them to a list, and they get pulled aside, and you can spend a little time looking at those. So anyway, you hit save, goes to the next page, and that's just how it works. You go from stage to stage. This is where you run the tests. So each Smart Analyzer app comes with a set number of tests. This one happens to have 24 tests. It covers all kinds of things, including artificial intelligence. We have a machine learning test that says, using artificial intelligence, can it find something that no one else can find? And it's just part of the test, right? You get to see common things like, if you have a journal entry where the debits don't equal the credits, maybe it's a system error, report them under test 1. And you can see there's a little database that describes what each test is, what's the audit test objective of doing each one, and a little example to help you understand how it works for each of these tests, right? They're all different. So basically, you tick all the boxes of tests you want to run, you push the run button, they execute, and once they've run, you get to risk rank them. This is the good part. This is where you say, of all those 24 tests, based on your knowledge as an auditor, based on the industry they're in, some of these tests are going to be more relevant than others, right? For instance, remember we talked about weekends? Maybe they're open 24 hours a day. Maybe they were open every single day. So if they're posted on weekends, is it relevant? So you could put the slider right now, it's medium risk. This would be high risk. You put it down to no risk. So it goes to 0. So the way this works is that if a transaction, for instance, is out of balance, it triggers this one. So that one gets triggered. That gives it 10 demerit points. If 1 and 2 are triggered by one transaction, it's 16 demerit points, and so forth. So technically, you could have one transaction hit all 24. That would give you 81 demerit points. So we have a little risk ranking here that if you transaction scores from 32 up to the maximum 81, it gets a stamp high risk. So that way you can tell afterwards for what those transactions are. And again, that's how it works. You set these sliders the way you like. You hit apply levels, and it saves that in a file. So next time you see this particular file, this client, you can use the same risk ranking. So you don't have to start over every time. You can load them up again. Now we're going to hit cancel because I've already done it. And then you analyze your results. So your results are already here. I'm going to show you a couple ones. Let's say you want to see how many backdated journal entries do we have? Well, let's see how many we got. We got these 4. And you see inside of IDEA, they tell you these are low risk, these are no risk, and it actually gives you a little scratch pad here. So you'll notice that EE comments, these are comments I put in. And you can check each one to say, yeah, this one passed the test. You can change it to say, this one passed, this one did not pass. So this one, maybe there wasn't trouble, this one was okay. And these are for the auditor. There is an audit trail in the system that tells you all the edits you make get recorded in the audit trail. So you can see the date and time, what it was before, what it was after, and who did it. So it's very easy. It's a built-in worksheet right in the tool, right? If I go back, you'll see for each of these, you can pull them together in a report to say, look, I want these 3 tests are relevant for the client. I want to create an audit report. And what it'll do is it'll create a cover page, and it'll automatically pull together those individual items. It's going to look up the audit objective, create a cover page, do the audit objective, dump the data, and give you a comment section. So for instance, this is now an audit report, right? I'm going to say this is draft 1, okay? And here we go. Yep, the first test, number 6, journal entries posted on unusual time. Here's the audit objectives. It took that from the database, and it built all this. And it gives you a little hot link into IDEA. So when you're sitting with a client and you want to say, well, what's this all about? Well, you can say, well, let me show you an idea. You click, and now you're in IDEA. Boom. And these are your comments. You can show those. And you can say, okay. And then you can sit with the client and go, oh, no, this one's fine. All right, that's fine. That's good. That's good. What about this one? This one? No, I think there's unexplained. Okay. We'll follow up. What? Right? Whatever you need to do, it's all part of an integrated whole. I'm not going to save this one. You can export it to PDF and Word, so you can put your own logo on it and whatever you need to do. I'm just going to get out of here. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can generate a risk-based sample. Because yes, you've done the 100% test now. Now you want to get to the stage where you could say, I need to still pull some paper. I need to go and physically verify the existence of the asset, right? So now, because we already have the risk ranking done, we now know that there are 3 high-risk journal entries in this particular file. It assumes you want 100% of those, which I think is good. But medium risk, we say it somehow comes up with 4. Maybe let's make that 5. And low risk, maybe let's have 1 of those, and maybe 1 no risk, just for completeness. So yes, it shows you a running total of 10. So in other words, how much time do we have in the audit? We have another couple of days. Yep, we have time to pull 10 documents, and count the inventory, or verify physical existence, and you can hit run, and it'll produce. Now, within each of these categories, they are randomly selected, but they are randomly within the high risk, randomly within the medium risk, and low. So they are impartial samples, but they are based on risk, which is what you want as an auditor. Instead of just randomly picking papers in a pile, now you're getting good stuff. This is the audit work you want to be doing. Then finally, the last thing you can do is you can generate a visualization dashboard. Now, it takes a couple of seconds, so I already did it in advance. But basically, it uses Power BI. Most people do have Power BI as part of, if they have Microsoft Office already, they can download Power BI for free, usually. So hopefully you can check with Microsoft. But basically what it does is it gives you a more visual way to look for any correlations. For instance, is there a relationship between any high-risk items are in red, medium in yellow, and low are in blue? So is there a relationship between who enters the high-risk transactions? So in this example, PH11 does the most of the work, also get most of the high-risk transactions. Probably not an issue here. But if you had one say that this user does very little and they're all high risk, interesting. Maybe you want to zoom in on this individual. But you can click and drill down and look at what this person has done, and there's the transactions right there. You can go in, drill it down by date. Is there a correlation between when a transaction is entered and don't want that. When it's entered and the nature of the risk? Well, September tends to be a very risky month. Why is that? Is it maybe because they have a September year end and all the departments are burning all their money to use their budgets up so they don't get cut next year? Maybe there's a big purchasing month. Who knows? Account descriptions. Is there a correlation between which accounts tend to have the risky transactions, right? Hourly and weekday breakdown. You may find there's a correlation that Thursday is more risky than others. Why is Thursday risky? Is it because the co-op is coming in, entering the system, and maybe hasn't been trained, and they're putting things in wrong? You want to know these things. Word clouds, of course, for those suspicious words we talked about. If you want to see the larger the words, the more frequently they occur at larger dollar amounts. But remember, we talked about the one gift. You can say, what is that anyway? Oh, birthday gift. We have an item, $300. Oh, what's that all about? I want to know what that is. And finally, there's like a super query, the mother of all queries, I call it. But basically within here, you can see the breakdown of risk by debits and credits. You can say, you know what? I want to focus on cash disbursements. And then it's going to give you a breakdown of cash disbursements and so forth. And you can just drill down all of the above within here. So again, it's just a very rich, and again, you walk through this audit. The beauty of something like IDEA is that you could do all this and then you can add more, right? You can have all your test work done. See, here's all the tests we did, right? And you can say, this is great, but I want to keep doing more work. I want to filter these. For instance, maybe I want, I don't know, anything on this date. So I can filter on that date. And then I can say, oh, that's great. Oh, here we have some results here. I want to sort them by amount. Double click to sort. And now they get sorted. So you can keep doing analytics, go deeper than what the app tells you. But the app is a really good high level way of getting the results you want. All right, so I think I'm going to switch back to my deck. Let me just go like this for a second. So in summary, what you're seeing here is that the integration and the automation of your practice is possible today. I know it seems insurmountable probably. You probably have so many things going on, so many little systems, and everyone's doing a bit of everything, but it is possible to integrate these activities and to really help smooth the flow of your practice. And the benefits go beyond the time and cost savings. I know initially people say, well, you're going to save a lot of time, but what I find you do is you just become a better organization. You just know where stuff is. You have an easier time. Things will just go more smoothly. You know, people stay longer with your company. You're going to find that, you can land better business. You can expand. You can work smarter, work together anywhere, anytime. Remember, these files, even though they're on your desktop, you could be in different parts of the country. And if you're in the same file at the same time, it just works. We have something called Smart Sync, which syncs up everyone's files at any time. So when you're in a file, it does its absolute most to keep you productive at all times. The deep analytics you saw with IDEA can really raise your profile and your reputation. You can really know a lot more about a client's data. You can give them a lot more insight, and you can sort of be really a partner for them rather than just someone who spits out numbers. You could be someone they count on for insight. And again, data analytics gives you that ability. You can leverage your past investments while looking forward. If you have some spreadsheet that contains the design for your financial statements, you saw that little, remember it was called Caseware Connector, where we're in Excel. Remember the video where we're in Excel and there was that Caseware linkage? You could put in a formula to pull data out of the trial balance into your spreadsheet. That's available. You can still do that. You could take your spreadsheets, change the formulas to work with Caseware, and you can still use those if you want to. And getting started is easy, which is great, because we don't force you to take everything on. Like just because you get on a solution for Caseware, it doesn't mean you have to do all the time reporting or you have to do all the billing. No, you can decide to do that anytime you want. You take as much or as little as you want of the platform, but it's there so that you can take advantage of it, and you can gradually expand and become more and more of an integrated, solid whole of a process. So talk to Sama Audit to get started on this journey, but it is possible today. And I think that opens it up for questions.
Any questions for Jeff? We welcome any questions. I think there was just one question earlier which I answered. If you have a different solution from Caseware Working Papers, then how do you have a online connectivity with IDEA? So I think, of course, if you use two different solutions, then there would be some manual interface. There would be some bridge required, because if it's Caseware to Caseware working papers with IDEA, then it's like, it works like butter. It can sit into each other. True.
I memean, the advantage of having the desktop component is it does become attachments, which you can attach. But the integration clearly between the two, it's the sum of the parts, is greater than the whole. Like it's just the integration by having both together. It does smooth the flow, right? And some people for working papers, they love to use it for their IDEA projects, right? Because it's project management. That's what it is, right? And that folder structure that you saw, I've seen you can customize that to your firm if you want to. You can create that so the folders you have mimics the way you want to do work. Because working papers, I've seen it used for all kinds of activities. I've seen politicians like cities. I've seen different parts in North America. They use working papers way to audit people who run for politics. So if you want to become a candidate, they audit your financials, and they use Caseware working papers to audit it, and they have various folders to track all the information about a candidate. You can use working papers for anything. So it's a very flexible solution to manage your work.
There's a question on, does working papers come with IDEA? No. I'm answering that on your behalf.
Yeah, please.
Papers is a separate solution altogether, and IDEA is a separate solution analytics. But yes, both can work with each other because it's from the same Caseware, solution. But working papers is external audit working papers, so it's a separate working papers which comes with all the modules which Jeff mentioned, so that it is the full cycle of practice management and working papers and everything reporting for the external audit is covered in the working papers. And then you have IDEA, which is analytics piece, which can work online or collaborate, desktop hybrid solution, desktop and the cloud, along with working papers. There's one more question which has come in. How can I get more details? Of course, I think so. I'll ask from our firm, from our company, we'll ask Jairam and Saurabh and Manish to get in touch with you maybe and provide you all the solution details which you require, please. Leal, I think we'll do that. Working paper solution only does GL exception test only. No, Jeff, you could elaborate on that.
Sure. Yeah, we do all kinds of things. There are different apps. There is a financials app that breaks down those activities. So there is general ledger, but then they'll do a specific accounts payable section, then accounts receivable section. We do a fixed assets section. There's an inventory section, and there we have a payroll app, but it's a separate app. We're actually beefing it up, and well, I'm releasing something I probably shouldn't now, but there's a new payroll app coming as part of that suite, so you can audit payroll as well. So those are available. We also have one that's available today is P-Card. So for companies who do small purchases on company credit cards, we can audit credit cards. So we know all the merchant category codes, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes with your bank. We can audit those, and we know what the fields mean, and we can give a really meaningful. So that workflow you saw today, we have the same thing for credit card audits. We do banking apps. We have ones for lending, one for savings. We have all kinds.
In addition, I'd just like to point out for the Indian audience that working papers, you can do your entire internal audit, statutory audit as per ICAI guidelines, and some audit does have a Indian audit template as per the Indian accounting standards, auditing standards. So that is available. Auditing, the template is available for the cloud as well as the desktop solution for working papers. So that can be used by external auditors in the country.
That's actually a very good point. And this has kind of been part of our success, is that every market has the template that specifically considers Indian local requirements. So you don't have to get something that's made for the United States or for Canada. Well, it doesn't fit. No, this is designed specifically for the Indian market. IFRS, whatever the standards, you have a template for that, Sama. So people they know they're immediately compliant. So that's very important to remember. But I'm just saying, even though you can also create your own templates to do particular things you need to do, like it is a powerful platform upon which, Sama Audit have built a very good template for India.
I'll just add one more point to it, Jeff, with your permission. If we find a lot of Indian firms, a lot of Indian CA firms are doing auditing or doing reviews for Canadian companies, for US companies, for companies in Netherlands, because they have their subsidiaries abroad, or they're using Indian firms as a back office in India. And we find that all our partners across the world have got relevant templates available. So, if you take in working papers, and if you need an Australian audit template, that will be available to you. If you want a Canadian audit template, that will be available for you. If you need an IFRS template, that's available. So, you can do Ind AS, which is just IFRS. So, all those templates are available, which you can work on working papers to ensure that you get your results.
That's actually a really good point. And it's something we're so spoiled with that, but it's a good point, because there are many multinationals, especially in India, where they are the back office, right? They are producing work. So you're going to say, we don't, in this case, we're doing work in US GAAP. Great. There's a US GAAP template. Take that, import the data into that, and everything will go in the right categories. Boom, produce the working papers, rather than hustle Excel, copy, paste. Oh, I made a mistake, got to redo it. Go back, copy, paste. Oh, did I make a mistake? I wonder if it's correct. You know, you don't wonder, you don't worry. You import it, everything flows. Done, right? Even consolidations are something I didn't get a chance to show. Very important. A lot of companies do consolidations where they have an operating company and then they have multiple subsidiaries and companies owned by other companies. You can create the whole hierarchy in working papers and import sheets at different levels and roll up the numbers to the parent. Very powerful stuff. Again, very, very common. And if you have that need, definitely contact someone. They can show you how all that works.
Absolutely. Any other questions? I think we can take advantage since Jeff is here, and of course he's the industry lead for Caseware, and he's worked across divisions and he knows Caseware very well, clued into what's happening across the world. The advantage that Jeff has got is that he's clued into what's happening across geographies across the world, you know, in terms of automation for working papers, for analytics. So I think there's one more question is there. Does working paper solution work for banks? Yes. Please send me the recording of the session. It'll be available on the Sama YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you just go to Sama Audit YouTube channel, you can look at this recording and you can look at all the recordings for Analytics Wednesday. And there's another series which we are running, which is Chief Auditor series, where we are, along with Satish Shenoy, I'm interviewing, we are talking to chief auditors from India and abroad, academics, and you can also look at that. So that is also available, freely available to any of you. So you may kindly look at that.
Right. I want to mention one more comment about, the production of your financial statements. What we found in many customers also are interested in is auditors are using it, but a lot of finance departments within companies are also saying, we would like to be able to have the more easy way of producing our financial statements, to do adjusting entries and be able to see the results of that immediately. We're finding this has become a huge market. And I would say it's something that your clients may be asking you to say, look, when we produce our working papers, it takes weeks. It's all disjointed. It's a spreadsheet linking to spreadsheet, linking to spreadsheet. Be prepared that customers may say, look, we would like to have this internally and work with the auditors. And I've seen even internal auditors wanting to piggyback on what the external auditors are doing. So you may find that once you start moving in this direction, there's a whole snowball effect. You get a lot of other benefits come out of it because the standardization, the ability to produce financial statements easily, convert the data, it's something that buys a lot of benefits, not just for the audit today, but your customers, they're going to want to probably be interested in it as well. So it's just something that I've seen in the market.
There's one question, whether the medium-sized Indian CA firms have capability and budget to appreciate a tool like Caseware. So I'll take that question.
Sure.
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because we find that we have more than 30 firms, CA firms already using it in the country, and out of which 50% are medium-sized CA firms. Absolute small firms are not using it so far, but they're getting onto the bandwagon. So, it's like we find that medium-sized firms have appreciated using automated solutions like Caseware working papers.
Yeah, I think the benefits, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the benefits, the time savings are there, but it even goes beyond. The fact that you can push a button and produce the statements rather than think of the process you're doing now. Labor is not free because you're taking time away from doing other things you should be doing, right? So, and companies do come around to this, the power of having one integrated cycle that all connects. To give you an example, like when you sign up with working papers and you go in the cloud, when you define that client the first time, who are they, what's their email address, that gets reused many, many times. So for instance, when you do billing, we know who to send it to because the client's defined already. We know how to communicate. When we saw, remember that portal where you answer those questions, where they do the e-signature? Remember we saw that in the demo? Again, we know who the client is because we defined it initially. So, in a disjointed system where you don't have the integration, you have to define the client every time. You have to define the client on the letterhead when you send them an email. You have to define them when you bill them. You have to define them when you talk to them. many times you are repeating the same work. Enter the client. If they change, it's wrong in 2 out of 3 places. Like that stuff costs, right? To define it once and just use it over and over and over again saves you every time. So you may not see the initial outlay. You may think, oh, this seems to be a lot of money. It's not, because when you save, when you enter something only once and you reuse it over and over again, you get the benefits every time. And after once you're in it, you realize, oh my God, I won't go back to what I used to do. It's terrible. But once you're there, you'll see it.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Or if there are no other questions, then Jeff, I think what I'll do is all of you are free to write to us or write to Jeff, or maybe write to us and we'll talk to Jeff, and we'll talk to all of you. And we have just one other question which has come up. Whether the mediums, no, I think the recent CA Amendment Act will make the CA firms more sensitive for compliance requirements, that is audit procedures. Of course, I think you're right. So I think what's come up is there's an amendment bill, Jeff, which has come up with for the CA Amendment Act, and many CA firms will become more sensitive to compliance. Not only this, in the past, there has been recent, as I said, I think you talked about it in your presentation, that regulation is driving people to adopting solutions, because first of all, it's efficiency, but there is also regulation, because you have the guidelines by the by the authorities, which talk about by the CA Institute, by the government, which talks about the CAs have to comply with the auditing requirements. They have to demonstrate that they have complied with it. There has to be an audit trail, which has to has to be available in terms of how the CA firms actually carried out the statutory audit, external audit, and I think that's so in most countries around the world, and all that can be facilitated by the use of a solution, because otherwise it's very difficult to actually demonstrate how evidence was collected, and what was the trail, and who approved it, and who signed off, and etc. So all that falls in place once you have a solution like Caseware working papers. So I think
it's an excellent point. So I just wanted to continue on that thought, because if you notice, each of the solutions have an audit trail baked in. IDEA had history. You know exactly who did what, when, how you got there. You can reproduce the steps. But even working papers, I didn't get a chance to show you, but there's an audit trail. There's a history button where you can go in and you can see when documents are added. You can even pull stuff out. So let's say you deleted a document and you need to recover it. It knows that it was there and you can recover it. Like, is very detailed, all the history of what you did, because you're right, that will come up. People are going to say, yes, but maybe there's a court case, maybe there was a fraud, and people want to know, what did you check? What did they send you? You have the trail. I sent this to them on this day. They gave me this information. I processed this information. You are going to be compliant. Are you compliant if you're doing a pile of paper and it was an email and the guy's gone and and it's not connected? You can't show this to the authorities that you're compliant. Here, it's pretty straightforward. We could show you very clearly what you did. So when it comes down to compliance, are you really better off trying to put the papers together in 8 different places? Even just the email trail about the portal, you talk to a person, half the history with this person, who said it? I don't know. You don't have that now. It's all connected inside the cloud and linked to the engagement. So you don't have this where it's some of the communication was said by this person. You don't have that anymore. It's all streamlined together. So you get one view of what happened with the client.
Absolutely. So Jeff, a very interesting session and a useful one for all of us. Thank you very much on behalf of Sama Audit. Let me thank you once again. And on my personal note, Jeff, thank you very much I just gave you a tinkle and you immediately agreed to come and speak to all of us. And the best part is you have been to India and you understand all of us. So great, and really happy to have you with us. Of course, the participants have said that they thoroughly enjoyed this session, and Shiv Kumarji has again said thanks for the excellent session. So thank you on behalf of the participants, on behalf of Sama Audit, on my personal, from site, I would like to thank you very, very much, Jeff. Thanks a lot.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I hope you'll be back soon in India.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward. Thank you.